How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Storm.
Hey, Herm.
My name has come up a couple different times.
Yeah, like 3 times.
I have.
By the way, this is.
Go ahead.
This. I want to let everybody know who's talking. This is Herman Holloway Jr.
In that my name has come up a couple times, and I have not been a cowboy type to want to bring cows into Southbridge, but Hanifa was exactly right. Excuse me, as she shared the meeting that I attended, where the people who wanted to they talking about, Norm, the old Forbes Steel factory right across from Southbridge Extension tore it down. That's where it would go. The folks had a slideshow. They made a presentation. There were many residents there. I learned of it. There was residents that came in meetings afterwards when a lot of things hit the paper about it and said that they did not know or didn't get a notice. I remember a notice. I remember hearing about it and it being talked, and that's why I went to the meeting to see what was going on. The bottom line was what really sold it, Norm, was the issue of 3 or 4 longshoremen that were there in our meeting saying that they and others worked down at the port, and they were already, Norm, bringing cows in and loading them on the ships down the port. That helped to sell it, aside from it, and Hanifa was exactly correct. I did make the motion, if all this is in order, that we support this going forward for the jobs, the economic development of it, and the way the thing was going to be transmitted and all that. Bottom line, some residents are upset about it and concerned. The issue has not come back to the civics simply because, Storm, the issue in talking with JJ, and JJ made a firm position that since folks had an unreadiness, that he would ensure that DNREC holds some public hearings before giving them the approval to get the go-ahead. They did say also that an environmental protectionist or someone from the federal government, this is very important also, would have an office housed right in the Forum Steel building there, Norman, to make sure that they complied fully with how that transmission had to be. And longshoremen were there and already making money and putting cows on ships down the port.
So let me ask you a question. Like you always say, the bottom line is you still support the whole concept?
Well, right now, I don't have a major problem with it as it was presented. My concern is, as always, as you would be, Norm, about my community.
Absolutely.
If there's an unreadiness of a majority of persons in the community, let's look at the facts and merits of it and make a further decision to go forth or whatever. They cannot move one iota further. They're not there. The cows aren't there because DNREC and the hearings of none of that has been held. They cannot go any further.
Let me ask you one quick question on another subject, on a subject that we're talking about. What do you think about this whole privatization?
My talking with Julius on yesterday, matter of fact, on the phone a bit about it, Storm, and then grabbing the paper about 4:30, reading the article, skimming through. It sounds like to me Mitt Romney, Bain Capital all over again. You take over a money-making situation. If you remember, going back, the strongest revenue force for the city of Wilmington always was the port of Wilmington. Even when they sold it, it made money, made good money. So where we are now, it sounds like, and you know, someone said, where is Governor Markell? Governor Markell's at the table. If he sent his economic development director in, Mr. Levin, who is, economic development, he's there, governor's there at the table, and evidently the governor wants to see this happen somehow. How do we do it if it is going to get done? And jobs be saved here for the folks that, the Delaware, Wilmington workers here that have worked there all their lives. And that's the issue.
And thank you for your call. Thanks, Herm. That's why you watch Community Crossfire and find out what the hell's going on around here.
Let me also say this, because I don't want to switch, because if we don't have jobs, it won't be cows. Also that these guys have shareholders. What happens if a bad economy comes? What happens? The only people they answer to is their stockholders. That puts us, and that puts the union, that puts the community in a bad position. GM and Chrysler are already gone. You already see what's happening at the refinery. And for people to hold information, you know, it's a scary situation here. Paul, can you talk about the B union that because they're public, they're under PERB, that they can lose their job instantly?
Yeah, I mean, we're under PERB, which is public employees. And we have an agreement with PERB at 800 hours. Guy or girl works 800 hours during a year, they become a union member. If we're no longer under PERB, we're a private organization, we're no more PERB people. So that agreement goes out the window. What happens to these employees? The other thing is our pensions. Like we talked about the pensions. We got a pension plan, Rule of 90.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Norm. Pastor D here. Just with one comment with respect to the term that I really don't think we should lose sight of, and that is privatization. I know you keep bringing everybody back to that one central thought, because privatization is a movement, Norm, in America, from the prison industrial complex to the ports, and the entire privatization movement and ideology has to do with the transfer of jobs that years ago white males did not necessarily want or feel like they needed. But given the state of our economy and the direction the country has gone in, now those jobs that these men and women have at the ports are desired by other populations of people, and privatization is just one method of getting those jobs out of the hands of the people that have had them for years. And so we must fight privatization, not only at the port, but in my view, in the prison system as well.
Thanks for your comments. Wow, a lot of stuff's going on. I mean, and I hope that the message is getting out. You know, again, what surprises me that some of the rank and file people who work there at the port have not called. I mean, because if my job was in jeopardy, I'll be asking you guys questions galore, and maybe they are. Yeah. You know, because sometimes people don't like to get into this dialogue. But I mean, even some of the other union folks, you know, I mean, if you look at around the country, I mean, like in Indiana, some of the other folks, I mean, they're taking ports. I mean, and they're knocking unions out of jobs. I mean, it's like serious. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Stone Oliver. How you feel about the port and everything that's going on? How you feel about it? What's your opinion on it?
My opinion, I agree with Julius and them. I'm scared when you privatize. You know, when you start privatizing things, and I'm thank you for your call. When you start talking like that, and it seems to me like there's no definitive answer to nothing, it seems like they're going to start knocking you guys out the box. So I mean, I feel like I would have everybody who works down there going to these meetings and being at the table. I don't think it's a good deal, the bottom. I mean, if you're asking me, and I don't even know the ins and outs. Just from the outside looking in, I think it's bad. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes, just wanted to say real quick that, you know, it's all about money. And when you're coming up against big corporations, people have to keep in mind they're not really favorable to unions anyway, because you have a lot of states out here that are going what they call right-to-work states, and a lot of people have heard about that on the news. So you have a lot of these private companies, and they have a lot of money, and trust me, they're trying to get rid of unions as much as possible. They're doing it all over. It's like an epidemic. Yeah. So I just want to say good luck with fighting them, and you know, make sure you get the best of the best, because you'll need it. It's all about money.
And again, I think Sam Guy put it accurately. Thank you. That they have their people at the table. You better have yours at the table. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Brother Norman Oliver and guest. Thanks for having me on. This is Gary Hyde. I wanted to commend you and certainly Julius and everybody on the panel. This is probably the single most critical issue.
Absolutely.
Facing the city of Wilmington right now.
Absolutely.
If we lose, you know, we done lost Chrysler, we done lost GM. Where do we go? Where do folks go to get a job that pays a livable wage if they don't go? If we lose the port,
you're right.
So everybody should be calling in, and everybody should be supporting Julius and that union
and all those folks on the panel, and Senator Bobby Marshall. I got to admit, he did had a wonderful article in the paper yesterday, and I think he succinctly identified what the critical issues are as well.
And I think we try to talk about issues that a lot of other folks don't want to talk about. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, thank you, Gary.
All right, buddy.
Senator Marshall, I mean, he's been on top of it. He had a Senate hearing. I mean, I can't say enough about Senator Marshall. I really can't. I talked to Theo Gregory today. Okay. He extended his hand out and said we can come on next month, Channel 22 live, bring people on air, and because this is going to impact the city, the county.
This is, and I think the young lady who called earlier. This right here is the biggest financial boom or whatever that's going to impact Newcastle County. Yeah. And if people are sleeping at the wheel and don't understand that, I mean, the only thing I can do, like the gentleman said, ask me my opinion, is very easy. Man, you don't want to do that. I mean, that's just me thinking. You know what I mean? Go ahead, sorry.
Sam Geis talked about trying to make sure that this, because it's a corporation, that it's not, that it's a corporate law is what you got to look at. But do you guys remember when there was a Camden, Wyoming wastewater facility that tried to say that they were not a public body, and then it took the Attorney General tried to make them obey FOIA, and they wouldn't do it, and then the Assembly had to come in and clarify it in law. And I think that's what Bobby Marshall's saying, is that if in the same case, if this Delaware Port Corporation is going to insist that it's not a public body, then all the Assembly has to do is go in and clarify it in law. And I think that's what's going to happen, to say that, no, you are responsive to the public. You are responsive to the state. You're not a separate corporation. The state made you. The state controls you.
And I hope everybody call their legislators and talk to them, because again, Alan Levin is trying to silence your voice by going around the legislators. And that's not a good thing. And the reason why he's trying to silence your voice, we need to find out why.
And I have to say, I mean, I certainly haven't spoken to Alan on this, and Alan is a friend. You know what I mean? I say that publicly. And I would love to have him on the show so he can give his side. Because just on paper and on theory, it just doesn't look like a good deal for you guys. You know what I mean? So I would like to know the rationale and the thinking. I mean, I don't know.
Our community too, Norman, because this is an environmental problem.
Right.
So I mean, our communities will be impacted. Environmentally, the health issues, we already have a lot of respiratory problems now. So this is just, it's more than just the jobs. It's, the city, the counties, it's a health issue too.
Can we have like 3 minutes left? Would you like to say something in closing?
Yes, I would just like all the people watching this evening, contact your legislators, your church family, anyone that you know that's affected by the Port of Wilmington, which is the state of Delaware, from Sussex County up to Newcastle, from Claymont down to Salisbury or Delmarva. The jobs are at stake, and it's a way of life, not just jobs. It's a way of life.
Okay.
And I thank you.
No problem. Nancy?
Yeah, this is what everybody's talking about the shrinking middle class. These are good-paying jobs, and it's thousands of jobs. So I was talking to Tom Gordon the other night, and he's saying that Dennis Williams is fighting this. He'll help fight this. Theo Gregory stepped in. So anytime that and I agree with Norman too, that we have to get the people whose jobs are at risk to start showing up.
Yeah. Real quickly.
I'd like to have that $21 million they gave to Fisker. The port could have used it.
Ooh.
Again, I like the community to get involved and call your legislators and give them their voice back, and don't let Alan Levin silence our legislators.
Okay. First, I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank all the callers and listeners. And in closing, let me get back on University of Delaware's behind. For the person who called my good friend Monte Ross, please call Patrick Harker, the president of the University of Delaware, and tell him to diversify your campus. I travel a lot, and they don't think black people live in Delaware because they walk on University of Delaware campus. So that's what you tell them. Steve Steinwater was a good friend of mine. He and I used to go out and recruit. Monte Ross is a friend of mine. He's a serious friend. Matter of fact, Monte Ross, the coach now, brought turkeys down to my turkey drive. So I never even mentioned his name last week. And so it wasn't about Monte Ross. Dave Henderson, who was a coach at the University of Delaware, he and I are still good friends. He and I go out and drink good wine all the time. So it's nothing. I would never talk about a black coach at the University of Delaware because you only had 2 in any sport. Since I went and saw Lincoln yesterday, so it was before then. You ain't had nothing. So call him. Don't call Monte because maybe you had a problem with him. If you do call him, you tell him that Norman Oliver said he's a friend, but he's not apologizing for us beating the University of Delaware. I don't care if we only beat you once. I don't care if we only beat you once. We beat you. So if you got mad about that, be mad about that. Maybe you wanted to call him and say something, but don't call him. Call the president and say, yo, man, we got to get some black people on this campus. All right, so that's what I said. So I never miss my words. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm in a good mood. And Cincinnati Bengals, we're getting close to really getting to the playoffs. I want to say happy birthday to you again, Nancy. My man, Zach Jackson got a birthday coming up. Simone, thank you again so much, Simone. Thank you for putting together that big documentation for us. Thank you, Julius.
Thank you.
See, I only get upset a little bit, man. And this great. And how about city council? Going to get heated. City council in the mayor's office, man. This great.
I think they're gonna work it out.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I want to have some fun. You know, I like to keep a little controversy going, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week. And again, man, Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving, and hug your child if you have one, because that was so sad. Thank you, Nancy. You keep controversy. You give me that.